Hi, this is JamesAnimalHarrison. It's time for Thursday Thoughts. And today we're going to talk about a drummer that I talked about when I talked about Murray State University, and I mentioned also when I listed my teachers one time. But it's his birthday today, which is it's Wednesday right now, but this will be posted on Thursday. And that is Tom Vanarsdel, Dr. Tom. I've often called Tom the Yoda of percussion teachers. He was my teacher for the first 2 years at Murray State, and then he came back the last year or so. He left for a time there to go finish his doctorate. Anyway, Tom was kind of like, I've used this before for people who don't know what the Kung Fu TV show is. I know it's a pop culture thing. You can look it up. But the Kung Fu master and then Yoda, everybody knows Yoda from the Star Wars things. Tom was kind of like a mixture of those guys. He was a small man in stature, but a big, huge influence. Tom had little round glasses and from the Southern Illinois area, but my favorite thing about Tom was, first off, he had a great sense of humor and everything, but he seemed to be able to find a way to reach every student in college, the percussion majors, even the minors and whatnot, and help them work on their weaknesses, as opposed to having a blueprint that everybody had to meet this criteria. And there's nothing wrong. Everybody has a different approach, and that's fine. But for me, Tom's strength was, finding your weaknesses and strengthening those, and strengthening everything, but strengthening your weaknesses to balance you out as a percussionist, as opposed to letting you just excel on your strengths. Especially for me, because my weaknesses were keyboard, so I had to spend more time working on the melodic end of the percussion thing, because I came in as a drummer and I had like hands and a drum set and the marching end of things, and went through the snare drum stuff very quickly to where he's like, yeah, you need to not work on that as much. You still do some things because you're going to always do it, but you need to work on this. Because I had no melodic training prior to college. So, but Tom was just, like I said, he just had that way. He'd sit there and look at you or listen to you and kind of be analyzing something. He might be eating some granola, or I used to say tree bark. And he would say something, and sometimes it was funny, but he would analyze you and give you stuff to work on and whatnot. And sometimes he would just do something, and he'd play something, and it just made so much sense musically, and you didn't think about that, you just played. So I think that one of his gifts was also beyond technique. He really tried to get you to think about phrasing and musicality. I know that obviously he didn't invent this. I know he studied with Chuck Simons for a while, one of my very first teacher, and he also studied with Tony Cerrone, world famous percussionist and everything. And so we did a lot of the stuff that he learned from Cerrone and everything. But Tom just had a way of making you work on things. But he had us do the Bona violin book on marimba, and to help learn about phrasing and reading the length, if you want to call it that, of notes. Instead of being written in a percussion thing, you had to think of it a different way, and how to project that on the keyboard instrument, at the time, marimba and whatnot. So, it's Tom's birthday. I remember so many things about Tom, and of course my time at Murray State was great, and I ran across such a huge cast of characters that were all different and all unique. And it was just, I think there were 25 percussion majors when I started there. And for a small state university, that's a lot. And some of the guys I remember, Dan Lobby, probably about 6'4", 6'5" guy from Rockford, who was a Taekwondo expert and a great drum set player. And then you had Danny Scaglione, who was a short Italian guy, I guess it was Italian, and he studied under Dan, studied karate and stuff, and I mean, they couldn't be farther apart in a lot of ways. And then you had John Collar came in, and John really excelled on the melodic end of things. And Craig Tier, often called Cheeseburger, came in a year after me, I think, and he was had a huge melodic background, but not so much of the percussion of it. And now he's a percussionist extraordinaire in the DC area and orchestra manager and stuff. And so there's a guy named Ivan Rosario from Puerto Rico who just had an incredible feel on the drum set and was quite funny. Scott Kaufman from the Paducah area of Kentucky, great friend of mine, great drummer. And I think he was more of that, he was a rock drummer who came and decided to get a degree, in percussion. And there were, of course, some people that were older. A guy named James Kennedy was a fabulous player, but left to go to a different school. And a guy named Joe Austin was in my class with me. And I'm probably leaving out so many. There was Lisa Cates, was a fabulous percussionist from the Paducah area. And anyway, just a complete set of characters that were all so different from each other. And then we would play together these ensembles and what. There was another guy who played, but he wasn't a percussion major, named James Manning. Of course, all the people I met in marching band, Steve Armstrong, all these guys, Rick Wagner, and was a percussion major there. Anyway, all great friends, all under that umbrella with Tom Vanarsdel and stuff. And Tom used to have these percussion parties, and we'd go to his house and listen to recordings of the concerts and stuff like that. And he was also nice enough to hire me to do some side work, paint his fence. He had a large property he bought, and I would paint his fence or fix broken fence or mow or cut down brush or whatever to pick up extra bucks. He was always helping students be able to get money so they could buy percussion toys and stuff. So anyway, happy birthday, Tom. I don't know how old you are, but to me, you're always the same. You never age. So I appreciate your mentorship. I appreciate your compassion, your respect, your love of music. And I know we communicated for years afterwards, and I appreciate your friendship. And so happy birthday. I hope everything's great for you. And to everybody who knows Tom, his birthday is today, the 18th, but this will be posted on the 19th. So happy birthday, Tom Vanarsdel, one of my favorite percussionists, drummers, everything.